Now turn to Section 1 of Listening Practice Test 1. Section 1. In this section, you are going to hear a conversation. Before you listen, please look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 10. Rita speaking. What should I do for you?
Oh, hi. I'd like to order some stationery.
Could I know your name?
Jackson Paris.
Right. Can I just confirm your account number and the name of your company, Jackson?
Sure. The number is 692411.
692411. Right. And you're from Rainbow Computer?
No, the company is Rainbow Communications.
Oh, OK. I'll just fix that on the system. Communications. And what would you like to order, Jackson?
Envelopes. We need a box of A4, that is, normal size envelopes.
White, yellow or manila?
We'll have the plain white, please, but the ones with the little windows.
OK, one box. A4, white. Just one box, was it?
On second thoughts, make those 2 boxes. We go through heaps of envelopes. As a matter of interest, are they made from recycled paper?
No, you can't get white recycled paper. The recycled ones are grey, and they're more expensive, actually.
Right, we'll stick to white then.
Something else, Jackson?
Yes, we need some coloured photocopy paper. What colours do you have?
We've got purple, light blue, blue, light green, whatever you want pretty much. There are 500 sheets on the pack.
Let me see. We're going to need a lot of blue paper for our new price lists. So can you give us 10 packs, please? Make sure it's the light blue, though.
10 packs of the light blue. Anything else that we can help you with?
Let me think. What else do we need? I'm sure there was something else.
Pens, paper clips, fax paper, computer supplies, office furniture.
Oh, yes. We need floppy disks. Do you have those nice coloured ones?
Yes, but they're a bit more expensive than the black ones.
That's all right. I'm not paying anyway.
Right, floppy disks. What about diaries next year? We've got them in stock already, and it's a good idea to order early.
No, I think we're all right for diaries, but something we do need is one of those big wall calendars. You know, one that shows the whole year at a glance. Do you stock those?
We certainly do.
OK, can you include a wall calendar then, with the other stuff? Just make sure it's got the whole year on the one side.
Sure. And do you have a copy of our new catalogue?
No, I don't. But would you send one?
Yes, I'll pop one in with the order. You'll find it a lot easier to remember what you need if you have our catalogue in front of you next time.
Yes, good idea. And when can you deliver this?
Should be with you tomorrow morning.
Can you make sure that it's not after 11:30 a.m? Because we have to go out at 12. There's only myself here on Fridays.
Fine. I'll make a note in the delivery docket that they should deliver before 11:30. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
That is the end of Section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 2.
Section 2. In this section, you are going to hear a lecture. Before you listen, please look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen to the lecture and answer questions 11 to 20. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Ronald Jaff with this week's edition of Movie Talk. First, let's look at the films this week in the theatre. The Kid Rides Again, When You Find Love, and Wronged. The last of the three, Wronged, is definitely the best. In fact, one of the best films in a long time, with Henry Michelson and Joanne Seymour. It is about a man who gets a life sentence for a murder he did not commit. In the style of the films of the 40s and 50s, it is a modern story of a man and his wife, wonderfully played by Joanne Seymour. They fight to make people believe Thompson is the wrong man and not the killer. The strength of their love is wonderful even after Thompson has been in prison for 15 years. Of course, I won't tell you what happens after Thompson's 15th year in prison. That would ruin the story. But if you see no other film, you should see this one. The story may be old, but the acting is great, and it will hold your attention from beginning to end. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for When You Find Love. Just another silly story about how boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl again, and they live happily ever after. Will Hollywood ever get tired of such stupid films? Yet, on a New England college campus, the star of the movie, Tommy Seal, is a freshman. He meets the 2 years older Stephanie Fall, played by Sally Evans. In real life, she must be at least 30, not 20. Well, Billy, our hero, has had a hard time with Stephanie. After all, he is so much younger. But they fall in love in about a minute, as long as it takes to take a picture with a Polaroid. And they are both so happy, in true paradise, until Buck, the star football player, played by Ronco Starr, the only good acting in the film, steals Stephanie away from the poor Billy. He is, after all, a senior and football star, and the rest of the film is about, naturally, how Billy gets Stephanie back, making her remember their love. He shows her that he, not Buck, is the man for her. Well, if you can stand a stupid story and bad acting, then take your 8-year-old child to see When You Find Love. Anyone older will leave the theatre before the movie ends. And finally, The Kid Rides Again, a western about a young cowboy, Kit Barnes, who stops the bad guys, the robbers, the killers, and plain old bullies and helps the good guys. Kit is fast with a gun and never once in this cowboy. Kit is the cowboy who never stays in one place for a very long time, who leads a lonely but very free life. Nothing new on the storyline, but a good classic-style western with good acting. Peter Sells as Kit catches just the right mood. He's an excellent and natural cowboy. There are beautiful scenes of the open country in the West and enough action to hold your interest. A good cowboy film for those who, like me, always enjoy seeing the Old West. And now, before we go on with the news from Hollywood, a word from our sponsor. That is the end of Section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 3. Now turn to Section 3. In this section, you will hear a discussion between 3 students, David, Joseph, and Carrie. In the first part of the discussion, they will be talking about lounges in different school buildings on campus. First, look at questions 21 to 24. Note the examples that have been done for you. Now listen to the first part of the discussion and answer questions 21 to 24. Complete the table showing the types of seating available and the number of seats in each lounge.
Hey, Joseph. Long time no see. How's it going?
Oh, hey, David. It's going fine. I'm a little overwhelmed with all these new courses, but I'm hanging in there. Have you met my girlfriend, Carrie?
No. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, David. Joseph told me about you. You two had quite the time last semester in European history, I hear.
Yeah, we like to hang out after class. Now it's a little harder, though. Lounges aren't as good as they were back there in Wilson Hall.
Yeah, they had chairs, couches, and tables to put your stuff on. And that lounge was full. There must have been 25 seats in there.
Really? The lounge in Jones Hall, where I have my communications course, only has about 10 chairs. It's awful. We all just stand around or leave. I wish we could hang out more.
Well, Agriculture Hall is next door. Their lounge is on the first floor, and it has couches. I think there are about 6 of them, and they're comfortable and hardly used at all.
That's not a good idea. Thanks.
But don't go to lounge at Skidmore Hall. I don't even know why they call it a lounge. It's just 4 chairs in the corner of the main walkway.
In the second part of the discussion, David, Joseph, and Carrie continue talking about conducting a survey. As you listen to the discussion, complete the table showing the number of points 1, 2, or 3 awarded to each hall for the quality of its facilities. 1 has been done as an example. Listen carefully and answer questions 25 to 32.
Guys, we should really do something about those lounges. I mean, couldn't we gather signatures and try to get the university to improve some of the facilities?
Yeah, that's a great idea. But we can't just say something random like, oh, you need to make the buildings nicer. We should come up with some kind of ranking system and have students rank buildings, how beautiful they are, how nice they are, etc.
Well, if we were ranking on a scale of 1 to 3, you all know that I would rank Skidmore Hall a 1. Like I just said, that place is awful. No facilities. The bathrooms are way down in the basement.
You're right. But they do have a nice balcony on the 3rd floor. That might increase its value.
But you shouldn't rank the architecture. You should rank how nice the building is for students to hang out in.
Oh, okay, then I agree with you.
So should we do this? I think it's a great idea. But let's try it ourselves on a couple buildings so that we can work out any bugs in it. I think Wilson Hall is the best.
Sure, but we've already begun. We will give a building 1 point if it has poor facilities, not enough chairs and no vending machines, that kind of thing. And give a building 2 points if it is okay or acceptable. We can rank buildings that we really like as having 3 points. So like Joseph said, I think Wilson Hall is the best. It should have 3 points for sure. And Skidmore has a 1. Now what other buildings should we rank?
How about Merris Hall?
No, they're not done with that one yet. But it looks like that will be a good place to hang out. How about Agriculture Hall? You said something about that hall a bit earlier.
Oh yeah, they have that lounge with couches that no one uses. But that might indicate that people don't hang out there for other reasons.
They don't have any drink machines. That's why I never go there.
Oh, well, then I think it's an average building. Let's give it the middle ranking.
I agree. It could be improved slightly, but it's got a couple of nice features. I like that lounge in that 3rd floor, for example, but the stairs are too short. I always trip when I'm walking up them.
This ranking is getting complex. Okay, one building we haven't talked about is Canton Hall. What do you guys think of Canton?
Is that next to the law building?
Yep. It's got this excellent connecting corridor with chairs and desks to relax and work at. The cafeteria there is great too. I think that place is just as good as Wilson.
Well, I've only been there once, and didn't know that was what it was called. It was kind of confusing, and it's kind of far for me to go, but I liked it. So I'll give it the middle ranking. 2 points because it had nice facilities, but a poor and confusing layout.
Oh, Joseph, you like Canton Hall? I hate that place. It's so mechanical, cold and impersonal. The furniture is nice, sure, but it's the last place on campus I would go to. I give it a 1.
Interesting. Well, let's write this little survey up and start passing it around.
I don't have time to type it up. Can you?
Sure. I'll do it after my biology class. Should we meet up at Wilson tonight around 8?
Sure.
No problem. We'll see you then.
This is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about balloons and airships. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
Now, balloons and airships are worth consideration because while on the one hand they represent humans' first successes at air flight, after centuries of less than successful theory and experimentation, they also, on the other hand, continue to be used today. We may have appeared to have moved on to jet planes and space rockets, but you can still see these more primitive flyers in the skies. OK, gas balloons first. France saw the first balloon flight in 1783, and this began a process of development. By 1862, in the Civil War in the United States, we find Thaddeus Lowe replacing spies with balloons to go behind enemy lines. The success of this led to the continued use of balloons in peacetime, and they were employed in the creation of maps. And such applications continue to this day, with balloons assisting in increasing our knowledge and understanding of the world we live in. Unmanned balloons are still widely used to collect data to inform scientific research of various kinds. You'd be surprised at how much they contribute. All sorts of instruments can be mounted in a balloon, and ongoing investigations into climate benefit from the information that can be gathered from a flight. Well, that's gas balloons. Now, the increase in the popularity of ballooning as a sport or leisure activity has been mainly due to the development of the modern hot air balloon, being cheaper and safer than the gas balloon. Heating air, rather than using potentially explosive gas, is what makes these rise, although the process doesn't generate as much lift as with gas balloons. But this is a small price to pay for its other benefits, and this type of balloon is no doubt here to stay. Airships are also fairly old in their origins. The idea for a balloon that could be powered and steered was first published in France in 1784, although 1852 was the date of the first successful airship flight. The first airships, like the first aircraft, didn't provide any weather protection for their crew, so it must have been rather uncomfortable up there. But designs continued to develop in sophistication. It was realized that the ships would drift about if they weren't strengthened, and that to work effectively, they would have to have a framework. Once design started incorporating this, flights became longer and more reliable. Airships were deployed for various uses in the First World War, And once peace returned, designers began to turn their attention to ambitious plans for regular intercontinental flights. However, in the 1930s, this program more or less came to an end. For one thing, the speed and popularity of airliners meant that the airship appeared superseded. They just couldn't compete. And as if that weren't enough in itself, another factor in the decline of the airship was an alarming number of crashes, and this, of course, put people off. Nevertheless, several countries have continued to build smaller airships for various uses, such as naval observation or publicity purposes. In fact, their popularity seems set for a slight revival, and in the past few years there has been renewed attention paid to the possibility of using them to transport cargo. Who knows? Maybe the 21st century will be the age of the airship. Now, if you look at your handouts, you'll see that I've included some information.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.